Well, I was talking a little while ago about a video I watched earlier, which again clanged enormous bells with me, i.e. the Monarch programming, which can and does program people with code words, with hypnotic trance words, to kill other people, behave in a sexual way, kill themselves. And I have said in the not yet uploaded video that once upon a time I would have thought that was a work of fiction. And I'm now quite certain that it is what happened in my family. That raises questions I'd rather not look into, obviously. What I will say is I remember asking myself on an uploaded video why my father giving me crab lice when I was 15 suddenly turned me from a kid who wanted to wait for marriage to a raving nymphomaniac who would sleep with literally anyone. Well, any male at that time. The older the better, and the uglier the better. That's brutal, but that's the truth. The less attractive they were, the more I would respond. And I now think that the crab lice in and of itself was the necessary, in some way, somewhere coded into that, was the necessary trigger to make me a sexual robot. I've said a lot of very personal things in these videos, and they're certainly in my book. And again, much easier in writing, where you don't have to actually face the person or other people after you've said it. I was completely incapable of reaching orgasm. I was the stereotypical nymphomaniac. And in fact, I didn't have an orgasm until several months after my father's death. I don't know if that was part of the programming, that my body was for other people's pleasure, not for mine. If so, it went wrong a little bit, because I did gain pleasure from the activities, but not to the point of climax. So I suppose I would have been the butterfly character in the little film I've just seen. And I have spoken already on another video, not uploaded yet, about men who, in my belief, were programmed to assassinate and then self-destruct. Although, having said that, re the self-destruct, the ones I know of didn't actually self-destruct. There was Robin Quigley, who survived certainly for 3 years. Well, if I believe the electoral roll, he survived for 3 years after driving my half-sister's death bike into the back of a van, parked at the curb, apparently. And in my belief, I've said he went to Northern Ireland after that, specifically a place called Aganloo. I may be mispronouncing it. Aghanloo. 6.6 miles from Ballykelly, where my brother, who was exactly the same age, was stationed. Not in the year of 1968, that was the year he joined up. Certainly by 1970, my brother was in that vicinity. And as I have said on the not uploaded video, I believe Robin Quigley and my brother would have been on the same side. Whatever the UDA was called then, against the IRA. Of course, this is all speculation. I never did find out where Robin Quigley came from. He was not the son of the people he was living with. Doesn't preclude being a nephew or something from abroad. Doesn't preclude a family relationship. But he doesn't appear to have been related to the people he lived with at the time that he drove the death bike. And that is a pattern I've noticed. These people come from nowhere and go to nowhere. In the case of Robin Stoddart, who was present at Fiona's murder, I've said many times he himself was murdered by a UDA hitman less than 2 years later. He didn't self-destruct. Perhaps foolish to be friends, as he was supposedly, with the man who killed him. And I also, again on a previous video, speculated once again as to who might have walked down my parents' slope at 21 Forest Hills Drive, Southampton, without arousing any comment whatsoever from the neighbours, without anyone so much as thinking it odd. And the obvious person to do that would have been either a neighbour. I have considered the neighbour next door, whose name was Johnny Whale, and he was in the CID, and he was friends with my father, which automatically makes him suspicious from my point of view. That's a possibility, that the neighbour could have gone down the slope and nobody would have thought anything of it, and then he could have gone back up the slope and down his own. But it has also raised the possibility that a family member could have slipped down that slope unremarked. I may as well forget the previous video, I'm repeating it all. I even wondered for a few seconds if I could have done it in some kind of trance, some kind of code word. Fortunately, I know where I was between the hours of 8 and 9 p.m. when my mother died, and that was in my flat, and I am certain of that. Otherwise, I might begin to suspect myself of my mother's murder at a command word from my father, because it is true to say that I did go into a trance when I was in his presence, and even when he phoned me.